The anniversary of is not technically the anniversary of Ghost Problems, but that wrestling game came out today.
Okay.
And it sounds like it has larger problems than just ghosts.
It's finally time for Ghost Problems most.
Not enough. It was not enough to put the ghost problems in a story creator. Now they have just let the ghosts infect every single mode of the game.
I put that
People's
in
hair.
I put that in news, but do you just want to talk about it now?
We talked about it a little bit last week.
Okay.
But
it feels like it's really reaching a critical mass.
I installed it last night when it came
so
out.
You have actually put your hands on it.
Like very, very briefly.
Okay.
Because it was like 55 gigs and I was like installed and I was like, oh, okay.
What is even in that for 55 gigs?
Really good skin textures, man.
I mean, there are it's like hitting the headlines on blog sites at this point.
It's
how messed up WWE 20.
It's like
2K20
Christmas.
is.
It's like fucking game bug Christmas, right? I mean, the same way that like all those, remember like the Saints Row bug compilation videos and how those fucking like every single clip I see of the WWE game it's even when it's working, you're like, man, this looks fucked up. But then like all these clips of like referees clipping through the mat and laying all over Charlotte Flair, like just like that's my favorite one.
Didn't you say that?
It's crazy.
Did I understand that they held an influencer event?
Yeah,
and influencers came back posting footage of how bad it looked.
Once the embargo broke on that, I think a lot of them there was a lot of footage out of that event that were just like, check this shit out.
I feel like when you've lost your core influencers, you don't have much left.
I feel like some of the people they invited to that event are people that like clown on that game on the reg. So I don't know.
As long as people keep buying it.
Well, so that's the thing, man. Like, what the fuck is it gonna like? I look, it's fucking bold to be sitting over here going like, when will the WWE care about quality? But like, look, man, what the fuck? Like, when does a license holder say like, hey, this has risen to a fever pitch now?
There's a tipping point at some point.
Like you are making our brand look bad, which
I feel like the McMahons have bigger concerns at this point.
You'd think
got more going on.
No, like you say that, but like I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe Linda McMahon.
Yes.
There's other people that this falls on, right? I mean, it doesn't go all the way up to the top. Somebody's got to be.
So I was kind of shocked to see that this is now all being laid at the feet of Visual Concepts.
Right.
Who is a storied and highly respected developer.
Like people used to like clown on Ukes every year for all this stuff, but at some point in the process, Ukes took a back seat. Whether it was like them getting out there and saying like, yeah, they don't let us make a good game. like maybe not in those words, but like, they don't really let us do the cool stuff we want to do because we got to crank this thing out every October.
Annual release, to be fair. It's not easy to make a game in a year.
And it's long been the case, or well, I shouldn't say this as a fact per se, but it's long been thought that even back in the THQ, especially back in the THQ days, but it seems like 2K hasn't necessarily done anything that dramatically different, that like these games were made as cheaply as possible because they knew they would sell no matter what.
Oh, sure.
And it was that feeling of just like, what's the bare minimum we can do? And that's not to say that there aren't people working on those games who care very deeply about them, but they're often hamstrung by budgets and money and timetables and all the other stuff. I mean, there have definitely been people over the years that have cared a great deal about making those products and trying to make them as good as they can. I just feel like that they have been pretty abysmal for a very long time.
Yeah, and again, it feels like this year is really
and
an inflection point.
Yeah, this year it seems like
upness of that franchise.
Well, I think like there's just a lot. I mean, the sentiment around WWE is really weird right now because they moved SmackDown to network television. It's on Fox now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's like a few weeks old. That is like literally, have the potential to reach way more people.
Yeah.
The ratings there have not, like the guy that they brought in to run the show was there for about 2 weeks, like a month or so.
83 days.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 83 days. Let's call it that.
Forgive me, is SmackDown the weekly one?
They're both weekly. SmackDown is Friday. Raw. Raw is the Monday night show. Okay. SmackDown has moved around. Is now Fridays.
I was trying to figure out where Monday Nitro fit into all this. That's how outdated my information is.
It's Monday Nitro would be a welcome fucking reprieve from. Oh man, I'd take Thunder some weeks.
Wow. Okay.
You said SmackDown's Friday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it in prime time?
It's
on Fox?
Yes.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
What?
How long is that show?
2 hours.
That one's only 2 hours.
Yeah, that one's only 2.
Of course, I mean, Friday is like the
totally the wasteland
TV graveyard. So,
but like they got a huge push from Fox. It was like they were being promoted across all the sports and all this other stuff, and like the ratings haven't been holding. And it's like it's hard to know because if you listen to people on the internet, it's like Fox is freaking out, the ratings are slipping. But like, what the fuck do any of these assholes know about television or ratings? But at the same time, it doesn't look good when you look at like, oh, the prime demographic for wrestling, like they're not even watching, and or not watching in the numbers that a like for the amount of money Fox reportedly gave to wrestling. You look at the numbers coming back, you're like, people probably aren't stoked about it, and them bouncing the guy out that was supposed to be the executive producer of SmackDown.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like not long after he got there.
Well,
and he was reported as not knowing not any, but most of the current crop of talent.
Hey, why would you? If you were Eric Bischoff living in fucking Wyoming or wherever the fuck he lives, why would you know?
Wait,
they brought Bischoff in to run the show.
That's who you're talking about?
Yes.
What?
They brought Bischoff back.
I figured it was just some like suit that had never touched wrestling ever.
No, like the reports.
Not that they haven't done that as well.
It's hard to sit in here and like take the reports as fact because wrestling reporting. You're reporting on, like the people that are wrestling reporters, I feel like get worked on the regular. And
appropriate.
Yeah, right?
Well, they should know better.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. And so a lot of that reporting it's very rumor heavy. It's very tabloid-esque at times. And I think some people have been in there trying to change that and do better work lately, but it's a weird field, right? And so it's hard to take a lot of that stuff at face value about like, oh, the reports are that Bischoff doesn't know shit about shit. And you're like, okay.
But also
like they brought him in, the reports that they brought him in because he had a good relationship with Fox and he would manage that relationship and the rest of it kind of didn't matter. But then suddenly it apparently did, or, so it's a lot of the reporting is hard to fucking take. But what we do know is that dude was brought in and after 2 weeks of that show being on in prime time was let go completely from the company. And
he had relocated his wife and himself to be closer to
they
WWE
moved to Stanford.
HQ. Yeah.
So now the guy who played Brother Love back in the day has relocated himself to Connecticut out of Houston, and now he is the executive producer.
Okay. Well, we'll check back in 83 days.
He came up with the Kane gimmick. He's untouchable. He helped create the Undertaker.
Isn't Bischoff also from the time when people actually still kind of liked wrestling?
Yeah, but he was also the WCW guy. Even when they brought him into WWE years later, he was always that enemy? Dude. There's been a lot of stuff over the years where you think that like, things that are not WWE creations, sometimes you get the impression that the company will shit on them. We'll bring them into the company, and instead of taking what worked in another place and just exploiting it on a bigger platform, break it down and humble it and shit it into the bed, just really shit the bed on that stuff.
Are you possibly implying the people who run WWE are thin-skinned and petty and vindictive?
Oh,
yes.
1,000%.
Totally. How dare you?
That I would absolutely co-sign.
Impossible to believe.
That's the impression I get for sure.
Also, because the other reports coming out about Bischoff is like, he wanted to leave the office at 7 o'clock and have dinner with his wife, didn't want to take after-hours calls. What do you mean this guy didn't want to pick up a phone at 3 a.m.?
Right. Yeah.
And like they're shaming him for wanting to have a proper.
That seems like a terrible culture in a lot of ways over there.
He's probably better off,
and it's always been that way. Yeah, if he's producing a Hulk Hogan documentary,
he's fine.
He's fine. Yeah. He's fine.
And maybe make a documentary about someone else, but
yeah, well, sure, yeah. I mean, I think you could make a really good Hulk Hogan documentary or biopic or whatever.
Sure,
but I don't think that's what they're making.
Okay.
They're going to make the real American fucking rah-rah fucking...
Much love, HH.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Anyway,
and to this wrestling game.
Yeah, so this wrestling game, we're going to... there's going to be a live video of it tomorrow that I'm going to try and get in on if I can. But I know Dan and Alex are going to sit down and take a look at that game in a quick look style.
Who knows what could happen? Anything could happen.
Right. Well, I feel like that's the thing. When the cameras are rolling, I feel like we never see the good bugs. But, like the list that people are forming of just like how this game is fucked up in comparison to previous years is like, some of it seems like small stuff, but that doesn't make the list any less long. You just look at it and go like, man, there's a lot of stuff this year that they seem to, for a game that's at the end of a generation, which is usually when they are the most feature rich before they make the upgrade and make the jump to next generation and do the Madden thing of stripping out a bunch of features and rolling about, like this should be the best one of these,
right?
In a sense.
I was trying to look up if like any of the NBA 2K games like had gone through like a major like buggy period, and at least for this year particularly, it's only the microtransaction.
That's the last
stuff.
several years. It's been the microtransaction stuff that has really gotten people down about that game, and also the online. The online in NBA has often been people like just going like, this fucking still sucks.
Yeah. But again, like Visual Concepts generally has been a pretty well respected developer over time.
Sure,
like going all the way back to the Dreamcast,
yeah, totally.
Like those football games on the Dreamcast,
exactly.
like
Floyd Brothers, all those great games,
all-time classics.
But like bugs and glitches aside, there's questionable choices just across the board. Like they've gotten like they took out the 24/7 title and
replaced it with an old title.
Yeah, the hardcore title or something like that. And why can't you keep that up to date? That doesn't make any sense.
There's always been like timeliness problems with those games, especially with the roster. Right? They lock the roster at some point, and then everyone changes their looks. Someone goes out and gets 3 new tattoos and shaves their beard because they're a good guy now, and like all that other stuff. So between them getting scanned and the game coming out, a lot of people have changed their looks, or a lot like some wrestlers has become prominent that weren't before, or maybe, hey, you decided to put your developmental brand on television on a weekly basis, so they matter more than maybe they did before. So maybe you want more of them in the game, or there's just a lot of stuff like that. That I bet that working on a wrestling game, on an annual wrestling game, on an annual WWE game specifically, I bet is a nightmare. I bet working with WWE, as much as they're probably accommodating in some ways, just the nature of what that product is and how it spins and changes and all that stuff, I bet it just fucking sucks.
Oh, I believe that.
And having to crank that out every year, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Like, but still, like that's not me excusing like these bugs. Like obviously, like whatever. I'm on some level, it's probably good that Ukes got out of there. Maybe they'll go on because they were working on a separate underground, like a separate wrestling game.
Which
like
one?
that was part of the thing when they so it doesn't have a name. There was, I think that maybe was what got them in hot water or got them to split, or if they split already.
Sure it did.
But it was like they gave an interview where they're like, we're working on another wrestling game, just an engine that we are working on off to the side. That lets us try new things and do other stuff, and that was part of the interview where they said like, the WWE game is what it is, and we have to do it and I don't know what the exact situation is. I would love to know like when they parted ways, if it was before that interview or after, or what the deal was. But
that has nothing to do with the rumored AEW game.
No.
Totally separate.
I would like to think that AEW would not get Ukes involved. Well, maybe if they've got a strong pitch and a good engine, like maybe with time they could do something really powerful. Like I don't know. Like that's the thing is like when Ukes first got into making these specific games back PS1, PS2. They were awesome. They were very fast moving, like breath of fresh air, like good frame rate.
I'm really glad to hear that, because every time I hear people crap all over Ukes, I feel like in the back of my mind somewhere, I'm like, wait a minute, didn't people used to really like
Ukes
them?
were like the saviors of wrestling, like wrestling games at that time. But that was
confirmed.
a long fucking time ago.
I loved Here Comes the Pain.
That's the game everyone cites as like the high point of that era of those games.
Also, they even had like memorable names back then.
Yeah,
instead of 2K whatever.
Right.
Oh, right.
Well, THQ at some point dropped it all too, because it's at one point you used to get different games per platform. Like the GameCube would get like Day of Reckoning, and the Xbox would get Raw, and then the SmackDown games were coming out on PlayStation platforms. And at some point they were like, oh, people only like these PlayStation ones, really. So let's just do that one everywhere, and they just flattened it, and which is sensible, right? I mean, like why wouldn't you? But over time, that gets to be a pretty boring thing.
Sure.
I can't imagine what that must be like trying to make those games, especially if you like care about wrestling and video games. Yeah. Like if you somehow are cursed with caring about both those things and find yourself in this middle where you're like, oh yeah, I'm the guy. I'm in a position to fucking make change. Oh no, we have 3 months. Okay, all right. I guess. Okay.
Well,
we'll keep doing this.
Let's just move this button to this button. We can do that, right? I don't know. Is that better? I don't even know anymore.
Guess I'm not going to sleep at home until next week.
It's just like working for the WWE that way.
Yeah.